What's up, guys? Welcome to Chris's Beer Reviews. Today is Thursday, September the 5th, and today's review is going to be on a beer that I've had my eye on for quite a while now and been wanting to try it. And one day, probably about a month and a half, 2 months ago, after work, and for those of you that don't know, I've mentioned it before, but I actually work down in the North Mississippi area. And that area, I don't really know exactly why, but for some reason that area is really jam-packed with craft beers. Most every store has one or two at least, but there's about 3, possibly 4 that I frequent quite often that carry a very, very wide selection of craft beers. And anyway, like I said, one day after work, I stopped off in a store that I frequent. It's my go-to store. I'll just put it to you that way. But anyway, I saw this one and I was kind of hesitant to try it because, I don't know, the label's kind of strange. But anyway, it comes out of Fort Collins, Colorado. It's Fort Collins Brewery. And the one I'm going to review today is, like I said, from the Fort Collins Brewery. It is their Rocky Mountain IPA. And I don't really know a whole lot about this. I looked it up on Beer Advocate. And for those of you that aren't really familiar with that website, Beer Advocate has 2 separate scoring systems, I guess you could say. They have, one is just the Beer Advocate score itself, and then they have another scale. It's kind of a stupid name, but it's the Bros score. I guess it's what your typical drinkers rate it as, your separate beers or whatever. But anyway, Beer Advocate gives the Rocky Mountain IPA an 83, which is a pretty semi-okay score. But the other scale, they rate it as, I think it was a 90. Don't really know the IBUs, it didn't list it, but I think the ABV is like a little over 6%, like 6.3, 6.2, something like that, which is, it's kind of in between as far as the alcohol content goes. But like I said, I've really been wanting to try this one. And the label kind of throws me off because it says Rocky Mountain IPA. It's out of Colorado in the Rocky Mountains, yet it has an elephant on the front of the bottle. I do not know. But on the back of the bottle it says it has a massive floral aroma. Let's see, a decent amount of hop bitterness, malty sweetness. So, sounds good. So anyway, enough of the bullshit. Let's open this thing up and let's see if it's all what everyone says it is. Alright, let's see. Alright, let's pour it up. Okay. Pours a very, very big head. Kind of a hazy, cloudy, deep kind of orange color. Kind of a, I wouldn't really say an amber, more orange. I don't know if you guys can tell. Looking at the screen, it looks a little different in color, but to me, it's a very cloudy, kind of orange color. Pours about a good 2.5 finger head. Kind of the foam is kind of an orange tint to it as well. Kind of a caramel to semi-orange in color as far as the head goes. Very very cloudy. Like I said, I don't know, but it's a beautiful looking beer, very beautiful. So let's get a nose on this thing and see what it smells like. That's different. Very this one, whereas a lot of the IPAs that I typically drink, that I personally like, has a really kind of a pine, a little floral, as far as the smell goes. It's a little floral smell, but most of them that I drink is very piney, slightly floral. This one, it's got a hint of the pine notes, but I'm smelling orange. I don't, very floral. This one is very floral, very citrus. Let me rephrase that. I wouldn't say it's very citrus. It has a slight citrus smell. No, it's strong. I'm smelling kind of an orange peel, orange pith. Slightly piney, but nothing to write home about. But it's very. It's got a very upfront floral and citrus scent about it. It smells really delicious. So enough smelling, enough looking. Let's drink this thing. Let's see if it lives up to its hype. I've never had an IPA quite like this one. It's very different. It's got a very upfront. Of course, before I say that, I'll just say that Beer Advocate, there was a couple of users that rated this thing kind of in between, and these guys, I don't think they know what they're talking about, because they said that this one would not be recommended for your typical hophead like myself. They say that it's more malty than it is bitter or hoppy. I definitely taste the malty sweetness to it, but this thing has a huge hoppy bite. It's not very boozy. I'm not tasting a lot of alcohol. You would think that it would be in a little over 6%, that it would have more. It would have more of a boozy taste. Which usually the boozier IPAs are usually what you call your imperial IPAs. Your imperial IPAs tend to have more of an alcohol, taste. It's more upfront with the ABVs, but this one is, I would say it's definitely a standard American IPA, but at the same time, it's not very standard at all. This thing has got a huge bite. Let me get another drink. Yeah, I'm tasting a lot of citrus. There's a lot of citrus, so like orange peel, grapefruit. It's kind of thick, semi-thick, and kind of sticky to my palate. But yeah, this thing's delicious. Like I said, I've never had an India Pale that is quite like this one. This thing has got an odd taste, but it's very delicious. It's very appealing. It does have the maltiness, but and before I forget, this thing, I don't know if you guys can see it very well, but it has a very beautiful lacing on the side of the glass. And like I said, I would recommend this one to anyone that is into the whole India Pale Ale thing. It's different. I'll definitely buy it again. I wouldn't rate this as one of my favorite India Pales, but I would say out of the top 10, it would definitely be in the top 10, maybe even in the top 5. I don't know. It's I would say out of 10, I would rate this one on a scale of 10. I would rate this one around a good 7.5. Yeah, 7.5, maybe 8. It depends on the day, but yeah, today I'll say this is definitely a 7.5. It's worth trying. Yeah, I wouldn't. One more little sip. It's hard to say. I was gonna say it might be a decent session brew, but it's got a little bit of a bite. It's real heavy and thick. I wouldn't really recommend this one as a session brew, but if you just want to sit down after work and have a beer, maybe 2, this would be definitely a recommendation for that. But yeah, if you guys see it, like I said, Rocky Mountain IPA from Fort Collins Brewing Company. If you see this one in your stores, grab it up. It's delicious. It's different. It's definitely unique as far as IPAs are concerned. But that's really all I've got to say about this one. So, you know, it's like I said, if you like big, bold, citrus, floral, and hoppy notes to your beer, get on this one. That's really all I got to say about it. So, cheers. We got the weekend coming up again, so hope everyone has a great Friday tomorrow and a great, wonderful rest of your weekend. Drink safe and responsibly, and cheers, guys. One last chug here. Y'all take care.